webinar. I request please the patient. Hello and namaste to you all. It's an immense pleasure and honor to welcome you all in today's webinar on toilets as a source for renewable energy, organized by Alternative Energy Promotion Center, Global Green Growth Institute, and Renewable Energy Co-Federation of Nepal. I am Shanti Subedi, currently working as a head of the Research and Innovation Unit at Himalaya College of Engineering. I am moderator for today's event. The whole organizing team would like to thank you all for managing time out of your heavy schedules and marking today's webinars with your majestic presence. And thank you all. It's no secret that the world's need for energy is increasing, but what many do not realize is that a promising potential energy source is being thrust down our toilet every day. The best hidden energy source we have ever heard of is the energy from fecal sludge. So making this important, the theme for World's Toilet Day 2021 is valuing toilets. So marking this important, the theme for World's Toilet Day 2021 is valuing toilet. Who cares about toilets? 3.6 billion people do because they do not have one that works properly. This is the starting point of 2021 campaign for World Toilet Day. On this day, the world celebrates toilets and raises awareness amongst those people living without access to safely managed sanitation, poor sanitation, contamination, drinking water sources, rivers, and flood crops, splitting deadly diseases. In case of Nepal, we are well known that Nepal has been declared as first open defecation-free South Asian country on 30th September 2019. Incorporating the same motto and thought, we are here to enhance the value of toilets and the organizing sanitation system with the help of many intellectual personalities. Now, without further delay, I would like to start the webinar formally. Firstly, we have among us Engineer Ganesh Saha, the former Minister of Science and Technology. He has been engaged as an influential motivator at government and policy level and a campaign for promotion, development, innovatives on innovation on renewable energy technology, water-related aspects, including wash and many more. I would kindly request him to deliver his magnificent welcome speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shanti Subedi Daksa. I'll be speaking in Nepali, and I think Smith will follow something. If not, somebody will translate you see, because it will be very difficult for me to. I can speak, there is no problem, but I think
no, please.
Audience more
appreciate it.
सर्वप्रथम सबैजनालाई आज यो विश्व शौचालय दिवस हामीको सन्दर्भमा यहाँ भेला भएका छौं। अघि नै शान्तिजीले भनिहाल्नु भयो कि अब यसपालिको नारा नै छ कि भ्यालुइङ टोयलेट। यो टोयलेटको महत्त्व छ कि छैन भनेर मेरो चाहिँ एउटा के हुन्छ भने आजभोलि मान्छेको घरको तिनका शिष्टताको कुरो गरौँ या तिनको भनौँ न समृद्धि को कुरो गर्ने भने मान्छेले त्यसको टोयलेटबाट चाहिँ त्यो मापन गर्ने चाहिँ आजभोलि छ। फलानो घरमा गएको आजभोलि हुन्छ त विज्ञापनमा एउटा अहिले देखाइरहन्छ ओरिजिनलको, तर दे डोन्ट टक लेस अबाउट द कन्टेन्ट अफ द टोयलेट के हो भनेर। त्यसैले म यसमा चाहिँ पहिले त के भने हामी आजको विश्व र खास गरी नेपाल चाहिँ यो विश्वको सबभन्दा बढी शहरीकरण भइरहेको देश हो। यो कति हामीले यसलाई बुझ्छौँ कि हामी चाहिँ शहरीकरणको तीव्र प्रक्रियाबाट गुजिरहेको देश हो। तर शहरीकरणको सँगसँगै सार्वजनिक शौचालयको जुन निर्माण हुनु पर्थ्यो विभिन्न ठाउँमा, त्यसमा चाहिँ फेरि संसारकै साथ तपाईँ हामी सबभन्दा पछाडि होला कि भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ के। त्यसै गरी त्यसको लागि मैले 4 वटा यहाँ टिपेका छु ठाउँहरुमा हामी गयौँ भने पहिले चाहिँ कुनै पनि शहरमा मान्छे आयो भने जब हामी जस्तो मुलुकमा चाहिँ बस स्टप, अब तपाई नेपालको कुनै पनि जिल्ला या राजधानी या प्रदेश राजधानी जानु हो भने त्यो मान्छेलाई सबभन्दा दुर्गन्धित, सबभन्दा अव्यवस्थित, सबभन्दा चाहिँ काम नलाग्ने ठाउँ भने गनाउने भनेको बस स्टपको टोयलेट हुन्छ। तर यही कुरो चाहिँ हामीले यसलाई चाहिँ यदि फिकल स्लज म्यानेजमेन्ट गर्यौं वेस्ट टु एनर्जी को पर्सपेक्टिभबाट हेर्यौं भने र अहिले चाहिँ नयाँ टर्मोलोजी आएछ सैनिटेसन इकोनोमी अब सैनिटेसन बिजनेस हो भने चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ पैसा हुन्छ वेस्ट इज नो मोर वेस्ट वेस्ट इज ए हाम्रो वेल्थ यो हिजोसम्म चाहिँ सलिड वेस्टमा मात्र वेस्ट इज वेल्थ फोर भन्ने मोहर हो त्यसपछि हामीले चाहिँ एनिमल वेस्टमा गयौं बायोग्यासबाट वेस्ट इज वेल्थ नाउ वर्ल्ड हेज कम टु ए स्टेज वेयर फिकल स्लज म्यानेजमेन्ट इज योर वेल्थ because from the fickle sludge management you can develop the energy and you can get the fertilizer त्यसैले अहिले के हो भने सैनिटेसनलाई हिजोसम्म हामी जुन हेर्थ्यौ अब चाहिँ सैनिटेसनलाई एग्रिकल्चरसँग जोडेर पनि हेर्ने चाहिँ भइरहेछ किनभने अब चाहिँ सैनिटेसनबाट चाहिँ आएको जुन वेस्ट वाटर छ ट्रिटेड that can be used for the agriculture purposes त्यहाँबाट आएको फर्टिलाइजर छ that can be used for the agriculture purposes energy can be used त्यसैले यसलाई चाहिँ यो सर्कुलर इकोनोमीसँग जोडेर चाहिँ हेर्ने बेला आएको छ अब त्यो सर्कुलर इकोनोमी जोड्दाखेरि हामीले मैले भनिहालेँ एउटा चाहिँ बस स्टपको एउटा चाहिँ हामीले शहर भित्रैको कुरो अब यो प्रकाशजीले गर्ला अर्को चाहिँ हाम्रो राजमार्गमा हामी ट्राभल गर्दाखेरि होस् या अलिअलि मध्यम वर्गले चाहिँ शहरबाट उकुसमुस गएर चाहिँ पार्क या ओपमा गयो भने त्यसैले यो चारैवटा ठाउँमा चाहिँ हामी कसरी चाहिँ अब चाहिँ यो स्मार्ट टोयलेट बनाउने कि सर्कुलर इकोनोमी भन्ने हो कि या वेस्ट टु एनर्जी भन्ने हो त्यो विषयमा चाहिँ हामी गत वर्षदेखि यही पिसी र जीजीजीआई सँग मिलेर चाहिँ यसमा लागेका छौं तर यो चाहिँ एक दिन लागेर हुँदैन मेरो विशेष अनुरोध के छ भने यसलाई चाहिँ जीजीआई ले अलिकता र यही पिसी मिलेर लेट अस मेक ए जोइन्ट एफर्ट्स promoting the toilets from waste to energy or waste to energy in bracket or specific importance to the public toilet. Let us work year wise or how we can do policy intervention with the government, what type of technology we should use because it is already I remember Dr. Pathak developed this toilet technology might be 30 years before, but we are still not very lagging behind. The policy intervention, how we should work with the town development municipalities association. So one is the policy intervention, second is the technology in the toilet, third is the financing these type of things, what we can do. The financing because there is a 2-3 models. Somebody is talking about the mobile toilets. We are talking about the smart toilets and the open spaces. You see, so what model may be good for the financing? The lastly, the Kathmandu University has started a course on the sanitation, but there is no sufficient for the junior technician or mid-skilled manpower. त्यसैले यो चारैतिर सबैतिर काम गरौँ म अन्तमा के भन्न चाहन्छु कि भने let us do a collaborative work in this field because toilet is very important and so valuing the toilet is very important. It is not only building the toilet flush and forget, but we should use properly the fecal sludge management which has $1 trillion of business globally. So let us be the part of this big sanitation economy. Thank you very much. Hello, Santi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Engineer Ganesh Sahaju. He highlighted the smart toilet and the advantage of the circular economy, waste to energy conversion, and the way and challenges to upscale the use of municipal solid waste as well as organic solid waste, including human sewage. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We are blessed to have you here. And next we have Ms. Ananta, moving forward, we have Dr. Madhusudan Adhikari. Sir, are you here? Madhusudan Adhikari, the Executive
Yes,
Director
yes,
of
ma'am.
Alternative Energy Promotion Center. Okay, namaste, sir. Mr. Adhikari has, so Dr. Adhikari has immense of vision and experience on promotion and development of renewable energy technology. I would humbly request him to deliver his marvelous welcome remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Santiji. I think for the benefit of all, how many of us we are here, should I speak in English or Nepali? Organizer should suggest me which language would be most convenient for the group.
It's
If
most
everyone
of the people
understand English.
Nepali.
Okay, then yeah. ठिक छ त्यसो
सुदन
भए
सर
हजुर
डाक्टर साहबले इङ्ग्लिसमा बोल्नु पर्यो जीजीजीआईलाई अलिकता इन्भल्भ गराउने गरी
ए ल हुन्छ सर
मैले नेपालीलाई रिजाइने तपाईले चाहिँ अलिकता जीजीआईलाई चाहिँ यसमा चाहिँ अलिक पैसा छुट्याउ बजेट सजेट लुनाजी हराइ जानुहुन्छ बीच बीचमा हाम्रो को त्यसैले तपाईले चट्ट पछाडी ब्याकग्राउन्डमा ठुलो राख्नु भएको छ फोटो हाम्रो कुशल सरको कुशल ताङ पर्छ होला हेरेर ल ओके डाक्टर
thank you, Santiji. Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. I think we are in a very relevant topics of fecal sludge management. We have started to celebrate this day as a toilet day, which is also a good initiative to focus on this issue. This is, I think, for this group of people who are gathered here, it's not new. Everyone knows what is we talking about. So when we talk about the waste to energy systems, AEPC has been working in this area from long time, that anything that stinks in the house, in the society, in the market, is releasing some gases which can be managed to get work done. You can use that gas to generate energy, be it heat or electricity. We can convert into the energy. So I think the biodegradable waste which we get from the plant, basically, also from the animals. And then we can have one stage of use, and then the remainder of that it can be used in the other forms also. So be it a kitchen waste, what we throw out, with taking out those which we can eat easily, and then the other wastage also. And then when we talk in particular about that the excreta from the food and food stuff that we eat, our digestive system takes some part of it, and then it disposes or it excrete something which still has a lot of value. We see many animal fish also live on this kind of stuff as a food. We had a very big tradition that the pig farms used to be fed with this human excreta. Sometimes fish also, fish farms also uses this one. But now when we talk about the fiscal waste to energy, this initiative is not new, but in the commercial scale, we're working on this. Especially AEPC also had this concept of toilet attached biogas, which culturally, religiously had a discussion. Then we convinced people that the gas we get out from the digesters are same, whether it is from the cow dung or human dung. So now people are not hesitant largely to use the fecal waste to convert into biogas. So this project is already on. Many of these household level biogas also are attached with the toilet. Then in the bigger institutional level, we are also working with the Nepal Police, Nepal Army, schools, even with the jails, where many people are housed in a single campus, single premises, and then they use the common toilets, and then that wastage can be very much used. Prakashji, which is also speaking, presenting in this session, has made Nepal proud of this kind of toilet. The toilet recently published in the media also says one of the best managed toilet in the world, not only in Nepal, in the world. So there is thing you can do, and you can be proud of. Even the traditionally labeled waste is not that much recognized, but you can make it a good thing. So in that line, we are working on this issue. And then the Global Green Growth Institute is also working with us in one of our large biogas projects, where they master in this technology relatively to our scale, also proposing us to include these fecal waste in our large biogas project, which are prepared as a concept note to GCF, which is already proposed in the GCF pipeline. So I think the GI, which brings a lot of technical knowledge in this sector, could be a champion to capacitate us, make us aware of the technical details of this technology, and how can we make the best use in the cost-effective ways, and then manage it. So I think that will be an opportunity for our market, our systems. As our ex-minister already highlighted, he is the motivator for all this sector. We don't want to label him as a brand ambassador. He is above that. He keeps up bringing us the new ideas. This sector is also need to be worked out in an organized way. So we are looking some partners to work on this area in more closer way. And then definitely this will contribute to this thing. Nepal has already been successful in this ODF scheme. I think the ODF is already been well addressed. So we have now mostly people going into toilet and close place to excrete their this waste. So we can manage that in energy terms. I think the technical challenges we hear about the urban waste, basically fecal waste, is when we use the disinfectant like these germs killers, which is also an issue that how much friendly these chemicals we use to clean our toilets to these bioorganisms, which are the must to digest this waste. So I think that issue, and then the water content of the fecal waste is another issue. The percentage of solid biomass or solid waste and the liquid waste is also an issue. So if we bring these technical details on table and do the diagnose these and try to manage them, I think the waste to energy bit of any kind of waste, including human waste, is more or less sorted out. And then, as I mentioned in the beginning, APC is working in a small scale, would like to work in a more bigger scale, as it is also some form of renewable energy. I just returned from the COP26. The whole world is very much worried, be it a small or a big initiative, any initiatives which is in line with the protection of our climate should be acknowledged, should be appreciated, and should be encouraged. And I think the fecal waste also releases a lot of methane to the environment. If we can tap that methane, I think it's directly contribute in the mitigation of the climate effect. So I think we all are very much aware of this, and I would like to make my commitment from the APC side that APC is ready to work this project in a bigger scale than we are currently doing it. And we are just introduced to the specialized organizations like GGGI. We would like to have more discussion on the developing a project and then creating awareness in this area and to scale it up. So thank you for organizing this webinar in such a important but leftover event issues. And thank you for APC to invite APC in this August forum. And also thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak few words on the behalf of APC. Thank you very much. And let's move ahead. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adhikari. It is really challenging for us to upscale the community level biogas plants as well as domestic biogas plants in a sustainable manner, because plant design is also a challenge for codization of the municipal solid waste, organic waste, and sewage sludge management, because the previous experience about domestic biogas plants are yet to be sustainable. I got a chance to do a research in this subject as well, and very few biogas plants are going sustainable because of the insufficient feedstock and proper management of the biogas plants as well. So thank you so much. This will be a great opportunity for us to get a clean development mechanism project to adapt the climate change resilience projects as well, and to get a more carbon credit and funding for to upgrade the economic condition of our nation. And thank you so much. You are there to help all nations to promote the renewable energy technology and in this regards and biogas development as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Adhikari. Once again, we are blessed to have you here. Next, we have Ms. Ananta Pandey, the Energy Officer of Global Green Growth Institute, Nepal. She is supporting ABC in developing a large-scale commercial waste-to-energy project integrating fecal sludge. I would like to request her to spark on the subject introduction among all of us. You are welcome, ma'am. Ananta, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shanti. So in this presentation, I would just like to provide a very brief background, sort of a prelude to the presentation that Andreas will be presenting on the project, and also give a brief background on the project that we're supporting AEPC in developing with regards to integration of fecal sludge in large-scale commercial biogas plants in Nepal. So you may be wondering why integrate fecal sludge with other waste streams. Currently, more than 8,500 tons of fecal sludge is estimated to be generated every day in Nepal, and out of this, only less than 2% of the fecal sludge is treated. As the population of the country grows, the amount of waste in terms of both fecal sludge and municipal solid waste grows, and this is coupled with the fact that there are no proper waste management systems in place which creates a lot of challenges. There is also growing climate-related challenges in terms of increasing greenhouse gas emissions from the waste, and resulting health impacts, which is putting a lot of pressure on the private sector as well as local governments to come up with innovative solutions to address these challenges. There have been projects, for example, in other countries like Burkina Faso and India, where biogas plants processing only fecal sludge have been implemented, but those are not commercially viable as biogas yield from fecal sludge alone is very less. Also, fecal sludge treatment plants have been built in various countries, including Nepal, but those are again not commercially viable. And innovative affordable to managing fecal sludge in a country like Nepal is very essential. A concept we have been researching extensively on with support from Urban Waters is co-treatment of fecal sludge with various waste streams. If you see the diagram on the right, the primary waste streams or livestock and agricultural waste have been used in large-scale commercial biogas plants owned and operated by private sector in the past, and there have been household level plants that integrate fecal sludge or night soil, but no large-scale commercial plants that process street fecal sludge and municipal solid waste together. And this you can see as the secondary waste stream in the diagram. The reason why fecal sludge has not been integrated in a large scale, is because the private sector is unsure of the technology required to process it, and if the returns from this will be attractive. To address this urgent need for innovation, GGGI and AEPC are in the process of developing a project that will address many issues in the waste sanitation value chain. Specifically, this project aims to ensure availability of good quality municipal solid waste and fecal sludge by implementing proper waste management practices. This will be done by supporting the municipalities in developing regulations as well as awareness campaigns necessary for proper containment of fecal sludge and implementing waste segregation practices. The project will also provide additional incentives to the private sector for integrating these unconventional waste streams, which are also considered high risk by the private sector. So this project, we will be able to increase community resilience to the effects of climate events such as floods as well. Communities that were previously exposed to floods and resulting health effects due to contamination of drinking water sources will have higher resilience as proper waste containment infrastructure is built and infiltration of groundwater is avoided. The project will also provide support to the local governments and private sector in developing public-private partnerships so that one party alone does not bear all risks related to implementation projects in the sanitation sector. And risks to the private sector in terms of market for biogas and organic fertilizer will also be minimized through coordination with markets to develop markets as well as municipal authorities to develop long-term offtake agreements. So this project will look at the entire value chain as in a waste or sanitation value chain, from securing high quality waste to provisions of incentives for processing of unconventional waste streams and securing markets for products generated through this process. Urban Waters Consulting has supported us from the very start in assessing viability of integrating fecal sludge as a co-feed in large-scale commercial biogas plants. This is mainly to address the uncertainty around utilizing fecal sludge as a co-feed and from how much to use to what technical components will be required and if it's viable or not. So we conducted a pre-feasibility study with Urban Waters in 2020. Which showed that integration of fecal sludge is viable, and Andreas will be discussing more on that in the next presentation. The feasibility study that followed, which is being finalized at this moment, strengthens our findings in the pre-feasibility study. So with this strong technical backing, we are certain that this project will benefit a large group of stakeholders from the community to local governments and the private sector. With this last slide, I would like to bring your attention to some opportunities that may be leveraged if this project is implemented successfully. There will be provisions of sustainable and sanitation solutions for treatment of fecal sludge, sustainable solution for issues related to municipal solid waste, and increased climate resiliency of the municipalities. With this project, 1 million people will benefit from access to sustainable sanitation services, and this is substantial. In addition to this, the project will contribute to reducing emissions, primarily through replacement of LPG by bio-CNG, which is produced. The emissions reduction achieved will be an estimated 2.6 million ton carbon dioxide, and which will save around 7.5 million USD on LPG imports alone. Finally, this project will create a total of 6,000 direct jobs, in which the project will also be ensuring that there's at least 33% or almost 2,000, 33% or almost 2,000 women who are involved in some capacity throughout the value chain. We are excited to present our findings from the feasibility study and also look forward to your feedback, comments, as well as questions on the presentation by Andreas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ananta ma'am, for your presentation of a very good proposal to get through the climate change related project through fecal sludge management and the way of forwarding with the public-private partnership and increasing subsidy policy, so high quality feedstock management to get as a renewable energy source by operating biogas plant as well. Thank you so much, ma'am. Heading often we have among us the erudite, extremely proficient Mr. Andres Smith, the managing director and co-founder of Urban Water Consulting based in Germany. He has more than 20 years of professional experience in urban sanitation planning, wastewater management, and local capacity development. He has worked extensively in Asia to address sanitation issues, especially those related to fecal sludge and wastewater treatment. In addition to this, he has also worked in Africa and Europe. One welcome and thank you so much, Mr. Andres. So you are just the floor is for you to do your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, now I found the right button. Thank you very much. Namaskar to everyone. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity to present this concept. Can you hear me, everyone? I'm hearable? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And you can see the slide, the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, good. So it's my honor to present this very interesting concept, and this presentation was done in collaboration with the GGI in Nepal and with our partner CDD Society in India, represented here in this chat room by Mr. Krishna. Krishna, you could welcome as well.
Thanks, Andreas, and namaste, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity.
So we have named this presentation Integrated Sanitation Service and Resource Recovery. So we're dreaming of providing sustainable sanitation service to the community. In the same time, we like to explore the resource recovery aspect of it. And then realizing through co-digestion of fecal sludge and organic solid waste and commercial biogas in Nepal. So now my slide is not, it's moving. So the overall objective of this project or the concept was providing sustainable municipal sanitation service and resource recovery. And the specific objective, as I said already, integrating fecal sludge treatment into commercial bioplants, gas plants, and to co-digest with municipal organic agriculture solid waste. And here I'd like to emphasize, the emphasis is really having an existing biogas plant and not putting the fecal sludge into the center of the energy recovery, rather having the solid waste and the agriculture waste in the center and integrating the fecal sludge. This is a quite fundamental change. And the precondition to make this actually feasible is having an existing or established treatment plant and feedstock management. Often there are a couple of projects try to recover energy and resources from fecal sludge. And then we need to find out, okay, how are we blending the sludge with other feedstock? Where are we getting it from? Who is operating it? In this approach in Nepal, and which I like so much, we have existing full-scale biogas plant, and we just need to integrate fecal sludge, not opposite around, starting with the fecal sludge and finding everything. The same is with the having established concept and market to convert biogas into a reliable cash flow. We all dreaming about biogas. A, we need to produce sufficient biogas. B, we're dreaming of converting biogas in cash. But in reality, this is a difficulty. In the grid, producing electricity, selling the electricity, having the real enabling environment for this is difficult. So in this case, in Nepal, we have biomethane has been introduced to the market. We have running system. We have a business case converting biogas into cash. Very important point. Many projects failing on this component. The second is we have an established business concept, a market to sell the solid byproduct, the compost. This is also a tick off in Nepal, which we have in many countries we don't have. I introduced composting facilities in East Africa, and it took a long way to establish compost on the market. And I think Nepal went through the very same learning curve, and finally they are reached this point. Now things becomes a business case. So this is all precondition, which we have now in Nepal. So with GGI, we conducted a study with the question, is this actually possible? This kind of co-digestion, and we had a couple of leading questions. Is fecal sludge integration possible without disturbing the biogas process, and how much sludge we can put in? So, and our answer, now we could say, yes, it's possible. As long we maintaining the classical operation parameter where the biogas plant designed of, meaning the hydraulic retention time, the concentration in the biogas plant, and as well the organic loading rate. So in the end, the concept is the fecal sludge is rather a diluting means than actually a huge energy source. Because the organic waste comes with a total solid, is more solid of 20 to 40%. It's very solid, but our digester, the reactor, runs with an TS of 8 to 12%. So in the end, we need to dilute. And currently they're using water, or they're using recycled from the pond to dilute. And this can be replaced by fecal sludge. And approximately, we could say of if you got 10 tons of organic waste, you need to dilute it with another 10 ton to reduce the TS. So the another 10 ton could be then fecal sludge. Or if you have 50 ton of organic waste, you can put in with around 50 ton of fecal sludge. So it's a rule of thumb. Can the additional outputs be generated, and can the revenue cover the additional cost? Yes, in principle, yes, but the output quantity, how much gas or additional compost we produce, and the cost recovery potential depends very much on the quality of the fecal sludge, and as well the way how we pre-treating the fecal sludge. I will show a little bit more on slide 13 in this presentation, how to ensure that the output is hygienic. So this was a little bit a concern always, and we agreed we need to pasteurize the fecal sludge either in the beginning before it goes into the digester, or at the output of the digester. And what are the required treatment components? I will present a bit later. And what are the cost and financial benefit? I will also present a bit later. So that were a little bit the leading question, and I like to present then the results. Just before, I like to update, or maybe you all know this, but I think it's important to put ourselves in the scene. So currently we have 3 commercial biogas plants in operation and 12 in preparation, planning, construction. They're all producing a biogas range of 1,000 to 4,000 cubic meter per day, which is substantial. They're all running on organic, municipal, and agriculture solid waste. Most or almost all plants operated by private company, which are also involved in the solid waste collection service. Also quite important point. And you have this fantastic program where you're subsidizing the initial cost up to 40%. So this is somehow the framework. And how it technically looks like, I would say the currently biogas plants, the designs I have seen, I would say it's a simplified biogas technology. It is simplified in design and operation. So it's a one-stage biogas plant. We don't have a hydrolysis. we running the biogas plant on a low loading rates. The heating, it's, let's say, they're not running completely on 35 degrees, they're running also at lower temperature. They're not isolated. It's very simplified design, which I think is quite appropriate and a good starting point. Most of the plants, I think only 1 or 2 producing electric energy. They have a co-generator. Most of them, they're producing biomethane, producing and bottling and selling it. And as you can see, we have the organic solid waste, a receiving station, then usually everything which is foraging material gets taken out. We're having mixing tank to get the right dilution factor, then it goes straight in the biogas plant. Biogas gets treated and then sailed, bottled. The output gets in a screw press, separated liquid and solid. The solid fraction, which is then the compost, gets dried, packed, stored, sold. And the liquid fraction in a pond, partially of the pond gets recycled, and the other component goes in agriculture use. I think you are quite familiar. So just in a picture from a plant in Pogara, also shows actually this very lean and simplified setup. We have the main digester, concrete round structure with a integrated gas holder here in this membrane. This is the methane production, and the entire setup, it's quite simplified. So in Europe, we have much more upgraded biogas plants. And the question is this really necessary? And I think it's a good approach here in Nepal. So how do we technically integrating now fecal sludge? So on the top, you see the stream I just have presented before. And here we got now additional stream, which is now the fecal sludge, which is really different. So here we have trucks, we have solids, and here we get vacuum trucks, which carrying a liquid. The liquid is quite, let's say, dirty. We have a receiving station. We need to screen it very carefully. Also taking out sand, everything we don't want in our biogas plant should be separated. And then we have one way taking the entire sludge through a pasteurization unit and in the mixing tank and then in the biogas plant. And we don't need, okay, this can be then replaced or reduced to a minimum, and also we don't need fresh water. So this is one concept with pasteurization. We got another concept where we have no pasteurization, and it's still, there is not, I think it's still worth to look in a research project to what extent pathogens are killed in the biogas plants. There's very different opinion about in research documents. We in the project decided, go on the safe side, having no exposure to the operator, pasteurizing everything which goes into the biogas plant. Another concept is where we adding another component, we just putting the second sludge after an additional solid liquid separation, which is a settler, only the second sludge into the biogas stream and having the liquid fraction, the treatment, fraction, and then into the pond. And the last option, it's that we disinfecting only the output, the solid output. That means everything, the dried compost gets once again pasteurized, overheated before it goes in the packing and storage stream. So this is the third option of integrating sludge. Once again, we going without pasteurization, only mechanical treatment into the mixing tank biogas plant and disinfecting the output. The results, the case studies, a little bit more in detail. We looked in this two options. That means pasteurizing in the front. So what are the pro and the cons? Everything has a pro and cons. One hand, we producing 5 to 10% additional more biogas through fecal sludge. So people dreaming about a lot of biogas, but it's not true. It's in reality, it's only 5 to 10%. We looked, and it took a bit time to a little bit to understand how the existing biogas plants are operated, and we found out they're not constantly running at 35 degrees. They're having a heating means, but usually it's not sufficient. It's rather to have in the winter a bit more heating up the temperature. So we looked in the case of Itahari, and where we have winter temperature and average it goes down to 15 degrees. And here, if we're keeping the digester at 35 degrees throughout the year and through the pasteurization, which is we're having the heat available, we generate another 10 to 15% additional gas, but just improving the energy management of the system. We're generating 5 to 10% additional biosolids, which goes into the compost, and we will have a gate fee income, but this is quite small. Currently, we estimated less than 5% of the total financial benefit comes from the gate fee. And a reminder, we always think fecal sludge contains a lot of energy and biogas potential, which is not really true. It's very low, in fact, because what brings the energy is the organic waste. So from 1 ton, you can generate 50 to 70 cubic meter biogas. From 1 cubic meter raw fecal sludge, only 2 to 4 cubic meter biogas. It's really minor. Nevertheless, it adds to the benefits, and this we like to show as well a bit in the financial figures. So on the con side, we need an additional technical components. Yeah, we need a treatment plant, pasteurization unit. We need an additional operator. We need a little bit land. We have investment cost, operational cost. We might need operational approval. So this is all from the operator side. It's an additional burden. It's not like he takes poultry or he takes another organic waste. So fecal sludge brings really an additional technical and operational stream and standard operational procedures in his concept. We found out in the warmer, if we having, let's say, even in Nepal, you have areas which are a little bit warmer, which are a bit colder. If you place your biogas plant in area which the winter temperature drops down, the operators need to spend quite substantial energy for heating, keeping the digester at the right optimum temperature. So here, the benefit for fecal sludge, because we bringing in hot feedstock, it's much more than if you have in the, let's say, in the lowland, in the very warm conditions, where the benefit is going to be less of the optimization of the temperature. So, and as well, I would say we have additional feedstock management because we need to align the organic waste with fecal sludge stream, meaning if the TS of the organic waste is less because it might be more liquid because the markets that produce maybe only tomato, then he might need less fecal sludge, and it means he needs also to communicate with the collection of the fecal sludge. So this aligning of both streams, I think it's worth to look into it a little bit more in detail, how we can do it with storage capacity and logistical instruments, align this feedstock so that we don't have too much fecal sludge or too little fecal sludge, let's say. So we looked a bit in this optimizing the energy management. It took a bit time, also discussion with operators, with biogas plant designers for Nepal to understand actually how do they operate the plants. And I don't want to explain too much, just the idea what I like to show here. This is the months from January to December. And we know that in case of Itahari, in January, it's around 15 degrees. So we got the ambient temperature on this side. The temperature goes up in the summer months, and then it drops down. Accordingly, also the heat, let's say, temperature of your feedstock, the temperature, ambient temperature, it's also going up and down. And if you want to keep your biological process in the digester at the same conditions which you want, because you want to have all the same time of methane and biogas production for your business. So you need to produce, and you need to contain the temperature. But that means also you need to heat. And most of the biogas plants are also not isolated. So that means in the winter times, there is quite substantial, this is now both, it's kilowatt hours for heating and the same biogas. So this is the heating curves. You need a lot of heating energy in the cold area. And we just compared how much energy is required to keep your digester at 30 degrees throughout the year, or at 35 degrees with fecal sludge and without fecal sludge, how much biogas you can produce accordingly, because you need some portion of the biogas for heating needs. So this is a bit the idea. We also looked how this curves could be converted in a monetary way. That means the annual heating cost and biogas revenue. So if I run my digester at 30 degrees, then I need around, I think there's around 30,000, 35,000 USD. Sorry that we are using USD and not Nepali rupiah, for heating it up. And this is what they could produce, and the revenue generated from the methane cells. And this is the net. This is the gross, and this is the net. And currently, the operators, they are heating partially. So if the temperature drops too much, they're heating a bit, but they're not really keeping the temperature at 35, in our opinion. So, and if they would keep at 35, that means theoretically they have much higher cost for heating the reactor, and they're producing more gas, but in the end, the heating costs eating up actually the final revenue. So the revenue differences between both operational procedures is actually not so much. If you keep it at 30 or 35, the revenue and end revenue, it's not that much. So that is why also most of the operator, they're not spending so much effort in heating up, rather keeping the operational cost at a moderate rate. So if we, with the fecal sludge, we need to pasteurize, and pasteurization means we have to heat it up to 70 degrees, meaning we got a substantial amount of feedstock with a high temperature. So this is the temperature we can use to keep your digester at 35 degrees throughout the year, and producing more energy by the temperature itself. We're producing more biogas, sorry, and for producing more biogas from the fecal sludge, so that in the end revenue they can generate is higher than in the other two cases. So this is some first outputs from this Itahari case study. And when we look now in the operational and the capital cost and operational cost, in this case, we have on the OPEX side, we have a treatment infrastructure for the pre-treatment and pasteurization. Here assumed with 114,000 USD, some engineering. Let's say we have a capex of 130,000 USD. Then we need an additional operator. The operation management, we say, okay, this is there anyway. We recommending having an operational service contract from the supplier of the pasteurization unit. Security is not needed. We need a substantial portion from the biogas itself to provide heating for the pasteurization. So this is a cost side. It's at the moment common that the digesters are heated by electricity. And so we took the same. We need some few topping up just in the winter. we had calculated the cost for the pumps. We calculated cost for solid waste, because everything solid waste in the fecal sludge needs to be separated and disposed. We estimated, out of our experience, repair cost annually based on the CapEx, which is around 2,600. And we put depreciation cost, which is often not common, but I think it's right to put it in, of 6% of the CapEx. So another budget of 7,800, which is depreciation cost. So you have, after a period of after 10 years, money left for complete reinvestment of this 130,000. And in this Itakari case, we have an average of 38 cubic meter a day, or leading to nearly 12,000 cubic meter a day. We got liquid solid separation, we have pasteurization, and we need around 100 to 200 square meter additional land for placing this infrastructure. We have a specific CapEx of around 3,400 USD per cubic meter fecal sludge, and an OPEX of 4.5 USD per cubic meter sludge. And if we now looking at the revenue, how much revenue we can produce to cover the costs? We have the biomethane from the fecal sludge itself, which is leading around 13,000. We got additional biogas through having the higher temperature. This is now compared to if you're running at 30 degree. Of another benefit of 32, which is very substantial. And we got additional compost from the fecal sludge, which adding up to another 14. And we have a gate fee, which I mentioned currently. It's very minor cost, but anyway, it's an income of around 2,300. All these numbers a bit depending on the case, and depending also on the quality of fecal sludge. In Itahari, we have seen the data we collected, or the team from GGI collected, shown that we got a very diluted fecal sludge with a low TS content, which is also reflecting then in this additional compost. But if we're comparing running cost to revenue streams, we have a substantial positive balance of more than 8,000 USD per year. Meaning here, adding this specific revenue, it's 5.5 USD per cubic meter. And if we're reducing the cost, the running cost, and the cost for the investment cost for the pasteurization, and if we're having different sludge quality, then the figures might change, and also can change to more positive or can reduce slightly. So conclusion, we can say fecal sludge co-digestion into an established commercial biogas concept is feasible, and it's having the potential of being one of the best value for money concept in the perspective of FSM. Because with a capex of 2,500 to maximal 4,000 USD per cubic meter fecal sludge, it's very low. Common, we have usually 7,000 to 15,000. There's also plants having more than 15,000 investment cost per cubic meter fecal sludge. We have the potential of 100% cost recovery. And honestly speaking, there's hardly any concept for fecal sludge who meets these numbers. We have here, there's in the last 10 years, a lot of plants has been put up with composting, with biogas, with biochar production, but none of them is having actually this potential of having this kind of low figures. But nevertheless, from the point of a commercial biogas operator, fecal sludge, it's rather a trouble-related low-value feedstock. You have seen the low energy content of fecal sludge compared to any organic solid waste. So there is a national resistance potentially from the operators that why I should take fecal sludge, will it disturb my business concept? And here the benefit for the municipality is much, much higher than maybe for the operator. So we recommend that the public, the municipality should provide an incentive that might and lower the risk for the private investors, and also maybe having the first pilot project where we have more evidence-based figures and where we can demonstrate and show we really help. So when we talk with operators and also plant designers, they all like this concept, but they were also a bit resistant towards, let's say, their concern is, will it disturb my process? Will it in the end be really profitable, or does it cost me money? So, and this, it's quite important to acknowledge and to address. We like to say that all figures we presented are based generally on specific case studies, as well as interviews we did with operators and plant suppliers. Only in a pilot project, evidence-based figures and operational experience can be generated. The financial reliability of the co-digestion concept depends on the feedstock quality of the organic waste, as well from the fecal sludge, the climate condition, that means reactor temperature versus required heat energy, and the CAPEX and OPEX of the fecal sludge pre-treatment and pasteurization concept. Further, we would like to recommend, so currently we have in Nepal 3 fantastic commercial biogas in operation. Another 12 are in preparation, and it's worth to invest and to run applied research and monitoring programs, as well operator training programs to optimize design, operation, and feedstock management of commercial biogas plant with and without fecal sludge integration. I think there is potential really from this 3 to extract the learnings, and it might be going on. I am not just aware of it, but if I see the biogas industry, we have established here in Germany, we have currently around 5,000 of this kind of big scale systems. So there is operator association, there is exchange, there is constant optimization going on. Also maybe having a 2-stage digester, how we really can optimize the business case, getting more gas out of it, integrating other feedstock like fecal sludge to the most benefit of this concept. With here, I would like to end, and I thank you very much for your attention. Hopefully it was not too long and too complicated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andres, for your wonderful presentation. You have highlighted the type of feedstocks you used as organic waste and sewage loss, and the importance of the loading rate, temperature, and mixing ratio. I think a mixing ratio is also important. I think you use that when making the proper proportion of the both type of feedstocks as a co-digestion, because volatile solid contents and carbon nitrogen ratio is very important to determine the efficiency of the biogas plants and biogas yield. Similarly, plant design and the concept of the pasteurized and non-pasteurized ways to get the biofertilizer as well. You highlighted that points, which is very important. Likewise, financial benefits analysis, you did very thorough analysis and including recommendation to move onwards. Thank you so much. You have done a wonderful presentation. We are indebted to you as well. Moving on the webinar forward, we have many intellectual persons here among with us, whom I would like to request to reflect their views about the presentation. Firstly, we have Mr. Prakash Amatya. Mr. Amatya leads the Erosion Sustainable Sanitation, a social enterprise model for sanitation that benefits low to middle income populations and especially women. It is basically a program, the public toilets piloted in Nepal. I would like to request him to reflect his views about the presentation. Welcome, Prakash, sir.
Namaste, everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity. And I would like to congratulate Andres for his wonderful presentation on this biogas with the fecal sludge. Let me put some of my experiences forward. The public toilets, when we designed, we wanted to have a system that would treat the human waste. And while going through the several technologies and approaches to treat the waste from the public toilets, we would have not chosen the biodigester, but then like we didn't find any other option that would be environmentally helpful to cope with this kind of like waste. So then like after many exercises, many ground researches, we actually took the risks to integrate the biodigester with the public toilets, because there was less experiences on biodigester with the only human waste as a feedstock. So the points that has been highlighted in the presentation of Andreas is kind of like very much similar to our experiences. So I still remember talking with the AEPC, especially Susiman Amartya sir. So he thoroughly kind of like, guided us at the time that, the fecal sludge, only the fecal sludge as an input to the biodigester may not be that much attractive or that much kind of like worth that would generate the biogas as an energy source. And it might not be that helpful to kind of like generate the revenue which it can support the investment. So we, as I shared, so with the public toilet system, we didn't have any other option, because the public toilets, the infrastructure and the space that it is available is very limited. So we couldn't go for the larger systems, and it has a range of uses, and particularly the solid is very, very low in compared to liquid, because the urine is the higher amount of volume that we get from the public toilet. But then like our experiences of this more than a year now, because we started our 2 plants in Lalitpur and in Baneswar, and 1 in Swayambhu. So all these 3 toilets at the present date, we are getting the biogas, the methane gas, that would be enough to air tea throughout the day. So that means we generate almost 1.5 to 2 cylinders equivalent to LPG. And these digester size are 10 to 15 cubic meter, not much big. But in Ratnam Park, we have 25 cubic meter biodigester. So what we are always encouraging, and also kind of like in communication with the researchers and the scientific circle, that in these public toilets, what it has made possible that only the human waste that as a feedstock is generating the biogas, that is more than kind of like a satisfactory level to demonstrate. So it is not kind of like fulfilling all the demands, but at the time, it is demonstrating that the biodigester can treat the human waste, the fecal sludge from the toilet. And at the same time, it is providing some byproduct as a gas that can be used in the cafe. So this is one of the kind of like attraction for the users and for the policymakers to understand more about the toilet and its value. So, so now, with a number of toilets being added on in the city, and with the experience of this more than a year, I think it is a critical time for us to review this system and have some scientific evidences on how it contributes to the treatment, number one, and the next is the generation of the biogas from the human waste. So going back to the presentation of the Andreas, so many of the things that what he has highlighted through his research and studies is kind of like very much relevant and true. So one of the things that what I have experienced is, and with the practitioners of this biodigester manufacturers or install companies, that in our case, we have the fresh human waste going into the digester. So might be that is the case that it is working. But I mean, in the workflow, like I mean, in the kind of like municipal treatment or in the industrial system. So when we bring the human waste from the septic tanks or some other containment, so what it might lose its energy value. So that might be the case. So I think the conclusion of Andreas' presentation is more kind of like awakening, and then it's kind of like more useful for us that, I mean, the integration of the fecal waste is something like I'm contributing to this co-digestion, and also like kind of like it is contributing for the treatment aspect. But then like, I mean, we really need to think like, I mean, only the human waste, how it could be handled with the digestion system. So that is, I think, very important discussion forward. Thank you very much for this opportunity to me to speak, and I would add on later if there is something that I'd like to say. Thank you very much, Dr. Santi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prakash Amartya. Next, we have commentator Dr. Sunil Lohani, the Associate Professor at Kathmandu University. He has been leading biogas technology and solar PV technology. He also leads Renewable and Sustainable Energy Laboratory. I would kindly request him to reflect his views about the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Subedi. First of all, I would like to thank organize. Is there echo or something?
It's okay, sir. We are listening well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the organizer for inviting me in this webinar, and I would like to thank Andreas for his excellent presentation. Actually, I'm pleased to see this kind of discussion is going on, because I have been working in biogas sector researching almost a decade, and there are several publications you can find scientific publication in this sector. And some of the issues that Andreas presented, like co-digestion of fecal source with municipal waste and maybe with cattle manure and other feedstock, I have been suggesting our stakeholders since past 3-4 years, and I think almost all who are basically leading the government organization and private sector might know this, because we have been interacting this and I have been suggesting this. But there are few points that Mr. Andreas presented, Of course, fecal sludge, human excreta contains biodegradable contents, I mean organic materials, and that has some values while we convert it to biogas. Or we can convert it into the biogas. There is no doubt, and it's established fact. But I could see some of the challenges here is the fecal sludge. Basically, we have two systems. One is sewer systems and non-sewer on-site sanitation or containment system. So the management issue for sewer system. In Nepal, there is no treatment system except one wastewater is functional, and maybe there is also some sludge, fecal sludge. But all this discussion perhaps revolve around the containment system, so that we will transport fecal sludge to the biogas plant. That I understood from Andrea's presentation, because he was talking about some transportation from containment system. So there is I could see supply chain challenges and logistic challenges. And of course, as Ganesh initially suggested, some of the policy formulation and implementation issues, some of the, I don't know, financial willingness to work in this sector, some honest effort from all relevant sector, willingness of users. There are several issues is there, but all these issues can easily be addressed if there is a strong willingness from government and private sector. So that is the crux to be a successful system on one side. On the other side, maybe on the sewer system, maybe there is a wastewater, so there could be another kind of treatment system. Maybe upflow anaerobic sludge banquet is usually preferred for wastewater, which is not like in a contained system. So technologically, what I would say is we have to see the local context where we are going to treat this kind of waste. So depending on the local context, technological know-how, affordability, all the factors decide which kind of technology is suitable for that particular place or particular community. That is one part. And another is like, I could see one crucial issues while mixing sewage sludge to food waste or other cattle manure, because we have done several experiments in our laboratory, and of course, sewage sludge alone, if you digest or monodigestion of fecal sludge does not produce much biogas, as Andreas says. It is true, but there are some confusion. Some people might say or might think there is a large amount of gas can be produced from fecal sludge, but that is not true. But if you co-digest with cattle manure and food waste, there is a synergistic effect, and that synergistic effect will certainly significantly increase your biogas yield. And this kind of synergistic effect is like 1 + 1 is greater than 2. So it's not straightforward. And that is because of some chemical parameters and physical parameters will be favorable when we mix all these things. So that help produce significant amount of biogas. But on the other side, sewage sludge contains lots of not only pathogens, but lots of heavy metals, toxicants, and pharmaceutical substance. And that is critical for using as a manure. And I'm happy that Andreas is from Germany. And when I talk to several professors in Germany, including TU Munich, in Germany, it's really a strict regulation to use these digesters in the farmyard. It's not straightforward. And if you go to the treatment process or to remove all these toxicant and heavy metals, it's more expensive than to directly, incinerate the digester. So here, of course, in Nepal, raw fecal sludge is also using in the farm. So in that context, maybe we can say it's relatively better than that because it's already digested. Some pathogen will be killed during the process. And if you, pasteurized, of course, that will be treated. But from the government perspective, from the legal, organization, if we promote this technology, we have to be careful in this part. So my I don't know, it's I would say suggestion, or my recommendation is maybe we have to formulate some sort of guidelines, operational guidelines, digested management guidelines, and all these things. And on one point, I'm very much, I agree with Andreas that applied research and monitoring program. Actually, Gunraj is also there. I have been suggesting all the relevant stakeholders since past 3-4 years. We need to have monitoring and applied research. We need to monitor your data. We need to monitor your plant health, and then only we can improve your plant. At the same time, the upcoming plants, technology is there, but technology doesn't provide all solutions. We need to have local solutions. That means our operational practice, our management practice also influence the gas production, plant health, and all other things. So that I very much agree with Andreas, and representing from university and having long experience in biogas sector, along with our colleagues, we can support in this sector. Our students can learn a lot if relevant stakeholders are willing to involve our students. They might learn, and that is how we can have human resource. We can develop capacity of our human resource. So that I can offer from Kathmandu University sites, because we can involve students if needed. Anytime you can knock our doors. And I would like to finally conclude my comments saying it is a good thing, but still we need to have lots of local experiments, observations, study, and then only perhaps private sector will be ready, or if some way with some financial incentives, we ask them to do these things, but the process might be, or the days ahead might be kind of hazy. So I suggest to have sufficient understanding and information beforehand, so that there won't be a much difficult path ahead. Sometimes, the difficult path ahead may tarnish the image of the technology itself, though the technology doesn't have a problem, So I would suggest, I would conclude my comment with this suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lohani. Now we have Mr. Prabhat Shrestha with us. At present, Mr. Shrestha is working at Department of Urban Water Supply and Sewerage Management as a senior divisional engineer and section chief of Sewerage Management and Environment Sanitation section. He has more than 12 years of experience in WAS. I would humbly request him to reflect his views about the presentation. Thank you. Prabhat, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you also for Andreas, and I forgot her name, both presenter for the wonderful presentation. When I thought I will be getting this presentation earlier also, the document, if I would have got it, I could go in much detail. But nevertheless, you are, I think they are going, are we going for the implementation of biogas in fecal biogas by producing fecal sludge plus the solid waste for the eatery? I hope yes. Yeah, ma'am.
Sorry if I can respond to that. So this is
ma'am, yo, I mean implementation mein janu aateko ho.
यो अहिले फिजिबिलिटी मात्र हेरिरहेको सर अनि
फर्दर पछि हामी कन्स्ट्रक्सनमा जान्छौँ कि जाँदैनौँ?
कन्स्ट्रक्सनमा जानको लागि चाहिँ अहिलेलाई चाहिँ फिजिबिलिटी मात्र हो सर। यो फिजिबिलिटी भइसकेपछि चाहिँ कन्स्ट्रक्सनमा जानको लागि जुन फाइनेन्सिङ नेसेसरी छ त्यो चाहिँ सिक्योर भइसकेको छैन। हामीले चाहिँ इटरी किन लिएका भने इटरीमा अहिले प्लान्ट बनिरहेको भएर त्यो प्लान्टसँगै इन्टिग्रेट गर्दाखेरि फिजिबिलिटी कस्तो आउँदो रहेछ भनेर हेर्नको लागि चाहिँ इटरी एउटा एक्जाम्पलको रूपमा लिएका हौँ होइन सर। तर
इटरीमा हामी फिकल्स लजको गर्दैछौँ होइन, त्यही मैले जानकारी चाहिँ त्यो पाएको थिएँ फिकल्स लज।
होइन सर, इटरीमा म्युनिसिपल सलिड वेस्ट हो उहाँको प्राइमरी फिड स्टक चाहिँ अर्ग्यानिक वेस्ट हो सर। तर
अर्ग्यानिक सोलिड वेस्टको कतातिर छ त्यो के थाहा छ मेम?
कस्तो कतातिर भन्नुहोस् सर?
भन्नाले सोलिड वेस्टको हामीले प्लान्ट बनाउँदैछौँ इटरी कता कुन एरियातिर केही थाहा छ?
सर त्यो
हेलो
हजुर हजुर सर
हजुर रुना म्याम,
हजुर हजुर त्यो चाहिँ
इटरी कहाँनिर थाहा छ? म इटरीकै भएकोले पनि अलिकति यसो इन्ट्रेस्ट देखाएको म्याम।
यहाँ चाहिँ मान्दोज मोक्तान सर हुनुहुन्छ होइन, प्राइभेट कम्पनी चाहिँ उहाँहरूले गरिराख्नु भएको छ। यो चाहिँ वार्ड नम्बर 10 तिर छ त्यो एरिया। त्यो चाहिँ रिभर ब्याङ्कमा छ अहिले चाहिँ। त्यो कन्स्ट्रक्सन पनि
बुढी खोलाको ब्याङ्कतिर?
हजुर सर हजुर, बुढी खोला नै जस्तो लाग्छ त्यहाँ।
सबभन्दा इस्टर्नमा त बुढी खोला नै हो, इस्टर्न र यता साउथर्न पार्टहरुमा।
हजुर त्यो कन्स्ट्रक्सन चाहिँ भइसकेको छ। यो चाहिँ एपिसी को वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्क प्रोजेक्ट अन्तर्गतको हो। यसमा चाहिँ हामीले फिजिबिलिटी चाहिँ फिकल्स लज राख्नको लागि चाहिँ फिजिबिलिटी स्टडी चाहिँ यो बेस्ड अन यो प्रोजेक्टको अन्तर्गत चाहिँ हामीले त्यो स्टडी गरेका छौँ सर। अनि अनन्तजीले भए जस्तो त्यो फिजिबिलिटी स्टडी त गर्यौँ हामीले, बट वी आर ट्राइङ टु सिक फर द एडिसनल इन्भेस्टमेन्ट होइन, त्यसको लागि चाहिँ भइरहेछ सर।
Okay, thank you, Luna ma'am. I think one point from Andrea's presentation, what he showed was what is this? Start my video. No. What he showed was pasteurization, I think. Yeah, before what I can recall is where it is. I think he has done in pasteurization of fecal sludge. Yeah, after the screen sand and trap removal, and then the liquid goes to pasteurization and mixing with the tank. Whether we have checked or not regarding if we do the pasteurization and what is its economical benefit due to pasteurization, whether we have if we have looked or not. My mainly one query is on in that perspective. Although the fecal sludge what we are developing here, since the quality varies, fecal sludge the energy from the fecal sludge is we are getting it, I think it's very low, and so for developing biogas only through the fecal sludge, it's becoming uneconomical. So with your study by composting of the fecal sludge and the municipal solid waste, I think it will be much it will be better for private sector also to come upon it. But although I think further study, we need other further case studies, other research, add much research on these areas so that we can develop in this area, we can develop, we can attract the private sector in this sector. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor. Now, Mr. Uddhav Timilsena, the chairperson of the Executive Committee of High Power Committee for Integrated Development of the Bagmati Civilization. He had served high-level government positions in the past. He is also an advisor of Renewable Energy Federation of Nepal. I would kindly request him to reflect his views about the presentation.
धन्यवाद
Sir.
हजुर डाक्टर साहब, धन्यवाद। सुनियो डाक्टर साहब, सुनियो?
Yes, sir, we are listening.
ओके ल ल ल, थ्याङ्क यू डाक्टर शान्ति सुवेदीज्यू। मैले यो हाम्रो स्पेसली एन्ड्रुजको प्रेजेन्टेसन पनि सुने, उहाँलाई एकदम धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। एकदम धेरै एउटा फ्रुटफुल र रिसर्च ओरिएन्टेड प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्नुभएको छ, त्यसको लागि म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। र अरू सबै पार्टिसिपेन्ट साथीहरूलाई पनि म एकदम हार्दिक वेलकम पनि गर्न चाहन्छु। म अफिसमै बसेको छु अहिले। अब यो धेरै टेक्निकल पार्टमा मैले चाहिँ डिस्कसन पनि गर्दिनँ, किनभनेदेखि टेक्निसियन साथीहरूले धेरै कुरा गरिसक्नु भएको छ। र अघि हाम्रो सुनिल लोहनीले भनेको एउटा कुरा चाहिँ मैले सम्झिराखेको छु। यो चाहिँ लोकल कन्टेक्स्टलाई चाहिँ अलिकति विचार गर्नुपर्छ है। लोकल कन्टेक्स्ट अनुसार हामीले चाहिँ इम्प्लिमेसन गर्नुपर्छ भन्नुभएको छ। मैले त्यो कुरा चाहिँ सम्झिराखेको छु। वास्तवमा हाम्रो चाहिँ भूगोल चाहिँ बहुत गजबको छ। त्यसैले चाहिँ हाम्रा चाहिँ धार्मिक परम्परा, लोकल सोसाइटी, यी विभिन्न कुराहरूले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो रीतिरिवाजले गर्दा पनि यस्ता कुराहरूलाई चाहिँ हामीले असर पार्छ। त्यसैले यो कुराहरूलाई पनि ध्यान दिनुपर्छ भन्ने लाग्छ। अघि मैले त्यो इटरीको जुन उहाँले अलिक डिटेलमा प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्नुभयो, अब कस्तो हुन्छ भने अब मलाई काठमाडौँमा चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ। मैले धेरै चाहिँ यो भूमिका बाँधिनँ, किनकि मैले अहिले यसपटक हामीले यो केही एरियालाई, जस्तो उदाहरणको लागि चाहिँ नि सुन्दरजलदेखि पशुपतिसम्मको एरियालाई हामी चाहिँ यो ढलमुक्त बनाउने भनेर अभियानमा लागेका छौँ। तर हामीलाई समस्या एउटा के छ भने गोकर्णको चाहिँ यहाँहरूलाई थाहा छ, गोकर्णको चाहिँ मन्दिरदेखि यतापट्टिको डाँडा र पारिपट्टि एउटा छुट्टै बस्ती छ जङ्गलको छेउमा, त्यहाँ चाहिँ सिवरेज सिस्टम छैन। त्यसैले त्यहाँको केही मान्छेहरूको चाहिँ टोयलेट सिधै बागमतीमा गएको पनि हामीले पत्ता लगाएको छौँ। त्यसैले मेरो कन्सर्न अहिले एकदम म फोकल एकदम चाहिँ केन्द्रित भएर के भन्छु भने हामीले, मैले यो स्पेसल रिकनलाई पनि मैले धन्यवाद दिनुपर्छ। उहाँहरूले यो जुन व्यवस्थापन गर्नुभएको छ, म रिकनको एडभाइस पनि भएको हुनाले उहाँहरूसित एकदम फ्रिक्वेन्टली हाम्रो चाहिँ अब संवाद पनि चलिरहन्छ। त्यसपछि त्यो ठाउँलाई, वारी र पारीको ठाउँलाई, खास गरी यो टेक्निकल पाटो जुन एन्ड्रिसले अहिले प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्नुभएको छ, यो टेक्नोलोजीले हामीलाई चाहिँ वारी पारीको सबैलाई सङ्कलन गरेर हामीले चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ त्यो बायोग्यास चाहिँ प्लान्ट बनाउने अथवा त्यसको अर्को कुनै विकल्प छ, त्यो जरुरी छ र हामी इम्प्लिमेन्टनै गर्न चाहन्छौँ। त्यो थ्योरी सुन्ने मात्रै होइन, म हाम्रो अफिसले चाहिँ लिड गर्छ र कम्तीमा पनि हाम्रो एइपिसीको हाम्रो डाक्टर मधुसूदन अधिकारीजी हुनुहुन्छ कि हुन्न, उहाँ पनि एकदम यो लाइनमा धेरै काम गरेको चाहिँ अनुभवी डाक्टर साहब हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँहरूको चाहिँ र हामी त्यसपछि यो रिकनको चाहिँ टेक्निकल टिम र यो के अरे हाम्रो मेयर साहब सन्तोष तारेज्यू, यो नगरपालिका सहित चाहिँ गोकर्ण नगरपालिका सहित हामी चारवटा संस्था मिलेर एउटा चाहिँ नमुनाको काठमाडौँमा चाहिँ यो प्लान्ट जडान गरेर अथवा त्यसलाई चाहिँ कमसेकम कुन सिस्टमबाट हामीले त्यहाँको लोकल कम्युनिटीलाई पनि एउटा चाहिँ सोसियल सेक्टरबाट चाहिँ भनौँ न सोसियल मोबिलाइजेसनको माध्यमबाट उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ कन्भिन्स गरेर गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने एउटा चाहिँ प्र्याक्टिकल जुन चाहिँ प्लान छ हो, त्यो प्लान चाहिँ बनाएर जाउँ भन्ने मेरो चाहिँ अनुरोध छ, पहिलो कुरा। दोस्रो कुरा, बाहिरको जुन इटेरी अथवा चाहिँ भोजपुर अथवा चाहिँ तपाईँको सोलुखुम्बु र काठमाडौँको चाहिँ यहाँको रीतिरिवाज, चाल चलन, संस्कार आदि कुराहरूले गर्दाखेरि ठ्याक्कै एउटै टेक्नोलोजी काम लाग्छ भन्ने मलाई चाहिँ लाग्दैन। म धेरैवटा जिल्लामा काम गरे पनि छु। त्यस हिसाबले गर्दाखेरि काठमाडौँको पब्लिकहरूको, काठमाडौँका जनताहरूको र मैले भनेको ठाउँका जनताहरूको पनि चाहिँ यो अघि हाम्रो डाक्टर सुनिल लोहनीले भने जस्तै उहाँहरूको चाहिँ साइकोलोजी, उहाँहरूको चाहिँ चाल चलन, धार्मिक रीतिथिति र उहाँहरूको साइकोलोजी बुझेर हामीले चाहिँ प्लानिङ गर्नुपर्छ। दोस्रो कुरा। तेस्रो कुरा, हामीले चाहिँ यो पब्लिक टोयलेट हामी पनि बनाउँदैछौँ। जस्तो मैले अहिले भर्खरै यो तिलगङ्गामा एउटा चाहिँ राम्रो खालको त्यो एरियामा असाध्यै धेरै धार्मिक पर्यटकहरू आउने भएको हुनाले त्यो ठाउँमा हामी एउटा पब्लिक टोयलेट बनाउने भनेर हामी पनि लागेका छौँ। र अघि हाम्रो चाहिँ एकजना साथीले चाहिँ असाध्यै राम्रो कुरा गर्नुभयो, हामीले बानेश्वर र स्वयम्भूमा चाहिँ एकदम नमुनाको टोयलेट बनाएको छौँ भनेर। मलाई त्यो असाध्यै राम्रो लाग्यो। त्यो खालको चाहिँ कमसेकम चाहिँ बायोग्यास बनाउने गरी चाहिँ बनाउन सकियो भने त्यो टेक्नोलोजी पनि हामी चाहिँ भनौँ न प्र्याक्टिकली चाहिँ कमसेकम युज गर्न तयार छौँ। त्यसैले मलाई त्यो हेर्नुपर्छ भनेर मैले मेरो हाम्रो इन्जिनियर साहब पनि मसँगै हुनुहुन्छ अहिले, मैले उहाँलाई पनि भनेको छु कमसेकम त्यो एकपल्ट हेरेर हामीले गर्न सकिने र त्यो चाहिँ एउटा फ्रुटफुल हुन्छ, त्यहाँ चाहिँ प्र्याक्टिकल हुन्छ भने त्यसलाई पनि हामी चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ हेरेर कपी गरौँ भन्ने पनि मलाई लागेको छ र मैले अघि अलिकति मैले यो धन्यवाद दिएँ एन्ड्रुजलाई तथापि मैले चाहिँ साथीहरूको चाहिँ जुन प्रेजेन्टेसन छ सबैको प्रेजेन्टेसन चाहिँ जहिले पनि पोजिटिभ मात्रै आउँछ किनकि त्यसको पछाडि हामीले कति दुःख गऱ्यौँ होला कति समस्याहरू झेल्यौँ होला त्यसमा आएका यसपछिका रिजल्ट पछिको चाहिँ अपरेसनका मोनिटरिङका समस्याहरू के आयो होलान् यी कुराहरू पनि राखिदिएको भएदेखि झन् सुनमा सुगन्ध हुन्थ्यो भन्ने लाग्छ मलाई किनकि हामी सबै कुरा प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्दा चाहिँ पोजिटिभ मात्रै देखाउँछौँ तर जब हामी इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन जान्छौँ अनि नेगेटिभ कुराहरू धेरै आउँछन् त्यसरी ती रिस्क फ्याक्टर पनि यो थियो र हामीले यसरी समाधान गर्यौँ भन्ने पनि आइदिएको भएदेखि अझ राम्रो हुन्थ्यो भन्ने पनि लाग्छ मलाई त्यसरी कमसेकम यस्ता खालको प्रेजेन्टेसनमा हामी डेभलपमेन्ट चाहिँ गर्ने मान्छेहरूले धेरै समस्या झेलेका हुन्छौँ त्यस्ता समस्याहरूलाई पनि यहाँ चाहिँ एड्रेस गरेर अनि त्यसपछि त्यसलाई हामीले यो तरिकाले समाधान गरौँ है भनेर आएको भए पनि अझ राम्रो हुन्थ्यो भन्ने पनि मेरो एकदम हटली एउटा सुझाव मात्रै हो त्यसैले म चाहिँ यहाँहरू सबैलाई धन्यवाद दिएर छोटोमा हामी प्र्याक्टिकली नै एउटा काम गरौँ काठमाडौँमा भन्ने अनुरोध गर्दै बिदा हुन्छु धन्यवाद
Thank you, Mr. Uddhav Timil Sinha, sir. And now we have Mr. Amit Ranjit, who is currently working in a high-powered, sir. Is it Amit Ranjit? Sir. Is he also working the Bagmati power?
Yes.
Sir, I'm confused. Okay.
Yeah.
Currently working in a high-powered committee for integrated development of the Bagmati civilization of senior divisional engineer, deputy project director. He is also assigned as planning chief of high-powered committee for integrated development of the Bagmati civilization. I would kindly request him to reflect his views about the presentation. Amit Ranjit, sir. I hear. Amit, sir.
Hello, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shanti. Thank you, Recon Nepal and AEPC for inviting me to this program. Actually, I'm really honored to tell that you have invited me to have some comments on this program. Actually, I'm really impressed by Mr. Andrews, and thank you very much for such a nice presentation about this plant, biogas plant. Actually, I agree with my chairman, Mr. Uddhav Timil Sinha, sir. My point has already been addressed by our chairman, sir. So actually, I would like to go with Mr. Prabhat, sir, also that we need detailed study about this thing. And similarly, as our Sunil Loni sir said, that we need to develop digester guidelines, operational guidelines. I also want to incorporate with his saying that we need to develop operational guidelines from government sectors. And lastly, I want to thank you all to invite, so that you have invited me in this program. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Amit Ranjit, sir. And now the participants are requested to raise their hand in order to express their ideas or any queries regarding this session. I think Andreas has already raised his hand. Would you please put your idea here?
Yeah, thank you very much for giving the opportunity. I'd like to reply quickly to this issue on heavy metals, because it's something I need to apologize. I didn't put it in the presentation. It's really missing because it's an aspect we need to look after. And we started already. We looked into fecal sludge characteristics from Nepal in several places. We compared them with other experience we have in India and Bangladesh and other sludge samples in the regions. We compared the numbers with international standards from the WHO, and it's all in the report to GGI. What we found is there is the concentration of the fecal sludge in Nepal, so far we got the results, are within the limits, number one. Second, through the process, we diluting it, so reducing the concentration, and also by separating liquid and solid, the final concentration in the biocompost, it's very low in this kind of heavy metals. But nevertheless, it's a point we need to have a look and eye on it. We know out of my own experience, in some areas, people dumping batteries and other stuff into toilets, and this can potentially cause a problem. So having a monitoring on heavy metals and having operational procedures at the treatment plant, but also in the end, informing the community on the fecal sludge itself needs to come in place. So thank you very much for raising this topic. We looked in it, the risk is low, but operational procedure should come in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andreas. Now we are at the end of this session. Last but not least, we have Mr. Gunaraj Dhakal, the Chairperson of Renewable Energy Co-Federation of Nepal. Sorry, is there any other persons who want to raise their hands to share their idea? Because time is getting very close to the ending, so I was lost. Is there any other queries? If not, then let me proceed. Sorry.
Dr.
Is there any other queries?
Just one query.
Yes. Krishnaji and Kalila, they also raised hand.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Just one question to Andreas. Thanks. It was a nice presentation. Thank you, Andreas. Do you have any experience of pathogen reduction with pasteurization in Nepal or around the other countries?
Pasteurization of sludge is actually state of a state of the art.
Yeah.
So, and you need to heat up if you have it, depending on the TS, if it's a high TS above 5-7%, then usually you have to keep the sludge for 60 minutes at a temperature of 70 degrees. If the TS is lower, below than 7, what we have most of the case, we can even run the 70 degree with 30 minutes. But this is, and we're using heat exchanger, having reactors. It's a common setup. It's many places has been done in a sewage treatment plant, but as well with agriculture, biogas plants where adding some unit waste, having this pasteurization. So it's state of the art.
Can I ask one question, Dr. Santi?
Yes, please.
Okay, Andreas, thank you for responding regarding the heavy metals. I would very much love to see the reports as you reported. It is with GGBI. I request the concern if you can share it, please do share it. And there are also reports about not only heavy metals, as I said, POPs, pharmaceutical substance, all these things. Have you analyzed all these characteristics of fecal sludge from Nepal? All these characteristics are only heavy metals?
We looked at a quite broad range, but we have not looked in medical trace components. This is true. We have not looked into it, and I think that might be a research topic for itself. And also to what extent they can really broken down at the reactor temperature. So maybe it's another pro going for higher reactor temperature, really keeping it at 35, 36 degrees, because that really helps down to break it, all this components. And it might be also wise to have some research programs in advance. You could do it in your university, in your lab, having a digester, running it, co-digestion, and see is this components are what the concentration, how much we're breaking down. So this is something might be also require some evidence-based programs.
Okay, thank you, Andreas, because I'm raising this question just in your country, because all sewage mixed, either it is from biogas or from wastewater treatment aerobic system, all finds way into the incineration. So we have to look at or compare all, the chemical and physical parameters, so that we need to ensure our farmers as well from the government side, because it's a legal process, not like individual farmers. These days they are using raw sewage, fine, because government is not recommending. So that is fine. They can, individually take the risks and do all these things. But when we have some programs from government side, then maybe we have to look into detail of all these pro and cons, all the characteristics, so that we can ensure to the farmers within Nepal, and maybe our government have to be answerable to international and national community later on. So beforehand, we have to be careful. So that's why I raised this question. Thank you very much for responding.
Quick response on in Europe, our wastewater treatment plants, the sludge, the primary sludge, is having a much higher concentration of heavy metals and other components than the fecal sludge what we have seen. The main reason is at the municipality side, we got industrial wastewater, we got often street wash, runoff partially mixed with stormwater, and this is all adding up to much higher concentration. Unless people dumping solid waste in their pits and septic tanks, the fecal sludge itself, it's from the heavy metal concentration point of view, not so much contaminated. On the medical trace components, it's a different topic. And I agree.
Thank you so much, Sunil Lohani sir, as well. Yes, I would like to ask you one question. What ratio did you mix of the petty stocks when you calculate the biogas yield? That's
once again?
Waste and sewage loss.
Could you please repeat the question?
Did you do a practical lab experiment by determining the mixing proportions of the different feedstocks when do the co-digestion?
So myself, I'm working since more than 15 years practically with physical sludge and with biogas plants. Okay, this is my background. In this case study, no, it's just a desktop study, but we're just looking at the different TS of the incoming feedstock from the organic waste. We know the TS of the tests we made from the fecal sludge, and we know the TS we need in the digester to steer the whole reactor. And just by the mass balances, okay, you need to add so much of a liquid component to reach the right TS for the digester. And practically, when we spoke with the operator, they're not measuring the TS as such. They know how the sludge is behaving. They know, okay, now it's diluted enough, or now it's too thick, before they're sending it into digester. But back to your questions, these numbers you have seen, it's now just on mass balances point of view.
Okay, did you use any model to get the exact figure of what you presented?
The mass balance, so the TS of the organic waste, the TS of the reactor, the TS of the fecal sludge, and that determines and how much fecal sludge we can add to the solid waste.
Yeah, physiochemical composition is the very big matter. It depends on the biogas yield. So that's okay. A very good presentation, and I would like to join you later on. Okay. Okay. Now we have Mr. Gunaraj Dhakal, the chairperson of Renewable Energy Confederation of Nepal. He has been working as a private sector entrepreneur for survey development, supply, installation, after LS service for renewable energy technology. He also bears sound knowledge and experience of ropeways and cable car technology. I would like to request him to put forward his closing remarks. Over to you, Gunaraj sir.
Thank you, Dr. Santi Suwedi ma'am, for your nice moderation. And program. I would like to thank Mr. Andres for the very nice presentation on the occasion of the Toilet Day, World Toilet Day. We are celebrating now continuation of the World Toilet Day. We can utilize toilet as a source of renewable energy. So thank you so much for the Ananta Pandey, GGGI, for the arrangement of this program and support and good coordination for organizing this program. Renewable Energy Confederation of Nepal is working in the field of renewable energy under the umbrella. We are working in the field of renewable energy. So we always advocating such types of technology and opportunity for the society. So this program may help to utilize the waste to energy as a commercial basis for the economic development of the Nepal. We can utilize the waste toilet for the generation of energy and for the production of the fertilizer, and the fecal waste, sludge waste is the problem for us. So this may be the opportunity now. So thank you so much for the very nice presentation, Mr. Andres. And I would also like to thank Sushima Mate for the from APC for supporting us for organizing this good coordination. And I also would like to thank Uddhav Timil Sinha, Chairman of the High Powered Committee for Integrated Development of Bagmati Civilization. And I would also like to thank Madhusudan Adhikari, Dr. Madhusudan Adhikari, Executive Director of Alternative Energy Promotion Center, for his commitment and continuous support to us. And also thanks to Ganesh Saha, former minister. He is Chief Advisor of Renewable Energy Confederation. Yes, so I would like to thank to Mr. Ganesh Saha and Prakash Samathe from private sector, who has already working in the field of toilet as a source of renewable energy, and he also work in the field of biogas by utilizing solid waste and toilet. And I would like to suggest this type of study should be localized as in line with Sunil Lohani sir from Kathmandu University. I'm also with him. We should localize, think globally, but act locally. So research and innovation activities should also involve for the local people from the initial planning stage. So it can be implemented for the commercial purpose also. So I would like to request all of the stakeholders for continuation of this type of technology for the utilization of the solid waste toilet as a source of renewable energy. So thank you so much for the very good points. We will support you, your voice, and we are for the concerned authority to note these points. And I am also always ready to provide any kind of support for promoting this technology. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And now I would like to close this session. Thank you.
Okay, now, thank you, Gunda sir. Now we have come to the end of today's webinar. Hope we all are well benefited. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks on behalf of the organization team on your presence and valuable time. Hopeful to see you again on our future webinars as well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Good evening.